the Comelec server has problems transferring a big bulk of data to the PPCRV and media servers. The last update of the results was at 6:15 or 6:30 this evening, and that is 5 hours. That was 5 hours ago.
I would like to advise Comelec now, hindi ko na lang hintayin dispose of that Startmatic and look for a new one that is free of fraud. Kasi ang liberal, sabi nila, nadaya sila. Ako, sabi nila, nadaya rin. And you know, it is creating an environment of hostile attitude against that Startmatic. You have 3 years. Kakatapos lang ng eleksyon. Palitan na ninyo. Kasi it is no longer acceptable to me, to the people, and even to the congressmen who are here. Anything that promotes cheating, why are you insisting sa Smartmatic? Because bidding? Kaya yung bidding, alisin talaga ninyo yan. I'm telling you. Nandito pa na yung mga congressman natin. Magwapo pa naman. Basahin ko lang para yung even a single mistake is something that is a tragedy. Yung boto ng Pilipino hindi na bibilang ng totoo.
This is Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Many questions in the 2019 midterm elections still left hanging. No answers forthcoming, or at least they're not very clear. What kind of trouble could we be in for the 2022 elections? My guests tonight, former Comelec Commissioner Goyo Larrazabal. I wish we could drop the former eventually. And Pierre Tito Gallo, co-founder, democracy.net.ph. Welcome back to CNN Philippines, guys. Thank you very much for being
Thanks
here.
for inviting us.
Yeah.
For inviting us.
We were talking to you guys. Well, Goyo, you were here May 14, the day after the elections, and the evening after. Pierre, you were here the night, diba?
Yes.
Oh, and so you were here when we were covering basically this 5 to 7 hour glitch.
Yes.
When PPCRV couldn't report results. Of course, we all found out exactly what had happened later on. But now, do we have very clear answers now as to what happened there? And is that something that we need to be still concerned about? Is that the crux of the matter or hindi? Hindi yun ang problema natin ngayon.
Well, you go ahead.
Well, from a technical perspective, it was all clear. Naghang yung server, that was it. I will defer, of course, to on questions on process to Goyo, who actually did a lot of work for the automated election system. But from my perspective, from a technological standpoint, there was nothing to worry about.
Okay, I remember the night after the election, so May 14, ang pinag-uusapan natin kasi doon, hindi naman talaga technology yung problema, no?
Yes.
It's not like, somebody fiddled with it or whatever, or may problema, may major glitch. It's really more project management.
Yes, and I think people are focusing now on the 7-hour blackout of data, or pushing of the data. I would like people to look at the front end, what happened. For example, what was done for the preparations of the system, what happened during election day itself, the start of the voting, where like thousands of SD cards malfunctioned, and had to be replaced. The numbers that were mentioned, I think that's much lower than the actual numbers of SD cards that were replaced on election day.
Vote counting machines also, no?
Yes, the vote counting machines that had malfunctioned. I think they have to really seriously reevaluate what went wrong in the last elections and make sure that it doesn't happen again in 2022. Because just imagine, if those problems happened in 2022, think of all the think of the trouble it will bring, no? For example, even if, for the sake of argument, there's nothing that happened, there's nothing that went wrong during the 7-hour
Sure.
period. If you're a presidential candidate in 2022, if that happens, you don't know what's happening for 7 hours, and suddenly lamang na yung kalaban mo. What will happen to the candidate and their supporters? Will they accept it as legitimate results? That's something that has to be really seriously looked at.
And we've already seen that that kind of questioning with the electoral contest filed by former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Na the charge is natulog lang yung public, biglang nanalo na si Lenny, right? So yes,
And this is worse because
right.
that one, there was throughout the night.
Yeah,
that
the election night May 2016,
you could,
meron
yeah,
ano
you
eh,
could
may
see the
reports
numbers
eh,
go
oo.
up, di ba?
Correct.
This one, there's a 7-hour
It stopped.
period na you didn't know what happened. Biglang
Biglang
there's
buhos.
a deluge of
Para bang the dam broke all of a sudden.
Right. So I think Goyo is correct totally that it's an issue of credibility. So while technologically there was no problem, the fact that project management was not employed properly could have contributed to some misperceptions on
Yeah.
the public.
Say that in civilian speak. When you say project management, I mean, ito medyo simplified na. Is it like event coordinating?
Basically,
is it
yes.
like
Event-
if you're going to have an activity for the day,
Sure.
you prepare for it, you initiate,
Exactly.
you
Yes.
execute, you
Yes.
end it. So may ingress ka, may egress,
Yes.
yung mga ganon.
See, when
That's it.
elections is not, you don't approach elections from a legal point of view, no?
Correct.
Mindset. You approach it from a logistics and project management point of view.
Wait,
It's-
let me stop you there sandali. When you say don't approach it from a legal point of view, meaning para bang ang iisip mo, magpoprotesta si ganito ganyan, para bang abogado ang
You don't
nag-iisip,
think of-
hindi abogado ang dapat.
Exactly. You think of it as a logistics person and project management.
Right.
Because you look at it, okay, what's the main job of elections? Make sure that we have good elections on election day. This means
That will entail preparing the machines.
preparing the
halimbawa.
machines, delivery of the supplies, retrieval, training, etc. It's basically ensuring that things that are supposed to happen on election day actually happen. It's like it's logistics. Make sure that you deliver the stuff, you print out the ballots on
Right.
time.
Yeah. Okay.
You follow the process, etc.
Then,
So-
if something goes wrong, which inevitably will, how fast do you implement your contingency plans? Which implies two things. First, what are your contingency plans in case something happens?
Yeah.
Second, what is your response time in case you have to implement a contingency?
So again, talagang project management,
Exactly.
very good preparation.
Exactly.
And good preparation would entail, like when you said, yung front end, di ba? Like halimbawa yung VCM, no?
Exactly.
Kung hindi na-test yan mabuti, ganyan ang resulta. Nagbe-breakdown siya.
But even then, even if it was properly tested, there's no guarantee that something that is has moving parts that's run on electricity will not break down. I mean, we do know that even if somebody sells to you 10,000 units of a DVD player, you can be sure that maybe 2 or 3 of them have to be replaced, right? So
yeah.
how fast will it take to replace the VCM among other things?
Okay, wait a minute. We need to take a break. How fast is this break going to be? About 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Goyo, you were saying that you're going to explain what project management is.
Basically, when I got in Comelec in 2009, I was the youngest commissioner at that time, no? So people looked at me, ay, bata yan. So he might not know election management, but they didn't realize that I actually came from the field. I was assigned as a regional director, I was a provincial supervisor, I was assigned Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. I come from a political family. So, and I ran a bike festival before, named after my dad, the Terry Larasol Bike Festival. So the perspective I had about running elections was not just from a legal point of view, but the project management and logistics point of view. Basically, how do you run an event?
Right.
Yeah.
You just graduated the scale, no? From running smaller things than running a national elections.
Yeah.
So that gave me a different perspective about elections. I mean, say, how is it important to reach out to the private sector? How is it important to create voter information? How is it important to tap other sectors that you wouldn't normally do? That was the first time that COMELEC actually came out on a teleserye
Yes.
just to create
Buzz.
voter education, di ba? So because of that, we were talking with some COMELEC officials at that time. We had to think out of the box. We had not to think as lawyers running elections, but project management and logistics
Yeah.
people making sure that we have elections on May 10, 2010.
Because
Lalo na,
essentially
that was going to be the first automated.
That was the hardest. Seriously, that was the hardest because that's
Yeah,
the
of
first
course.
and
Para
parang
kang
problema.
guinea pig, ano?
You know, there's
Yes.
observers. Yeah, there's
the PCOS machine. Oh.
But you know, the PCOS, CCOS, and VCM, that's all the same. That's an optical mark reader.
Sure.
You know, there's a observer from Malaysia, the day before elections, came to the office.
2010, ah?
2010,
Oh, okay.
said, you know, then she said, she was telling us all the problems. Then 2 days after, when she went back to PACC, said, you know, congratulations, you had elections. We never thought you could do it.
Talaga.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you
But see,
pulled it off. Ganun.
when he pulled it off, I want to emphasize pa rin now, it's not just one person. Probably at that time they saw me, but there were thousands of field officials from the central office who work 24/7. Wala na kaming tulog doon. We basically sleeping in the office to make sure that we have
runs
elections.
smoothly.
Which is part of the
Right.
full project management, because the elections essentially from that point of view is a several stage, it's a multi-stage
Multi-process,
project, multi-stage program where the first 12 hours is the voting event, the next 12 or so hours is the counting
Counting the
and
canvassing.
transmission.
Canvassing.
It's like running a concert or a music festival
Yeah.
that has two.
Buti na lang
two
you
phases.
use those terms kasi parang ang COMELEC dito na Unbank, eventually the NBOC, sila yung parang conductor. You
They should be like that.
make everything and everyone work in harmony.
Right.
Diba na parang, ito yung gagawin mo ha, ginagawa mo ba? O ikaw.
Exactly.
O ikaw, ganon.
So
Diba?
there has to be somebody in charge to know who knows what's happening all the time with everyone.
A project management office.
Yes.
Of that.
Yeah.
That's able to handle
Wasn't
that
the COMELEC
scale.
in charge?
There's a project management office. I headed the steering committee at that time who oversaw the project management office of COMELEC. It's Smartmatic. So the COMELEC learned a number of things because during the 2010 elections, and they just replicated it and improved some things in 2010, 13.
Parang template.
Yes,
ano?
let me say you just follow what was done in previous
Right,
elections
right.
and make it better. That's
Oo,
it.
Oo. Okay. When President Duterte said a few days back na parang, palitan natin yung Smartmatic, is that going to be the be-all and end-all?
No,
That's not going to fix things.
Elections. I've always said that automated elections is not a silver bullet that will solve all the ills of elections. No,
That's right.
It's just one of the tools. More than the system and software, it's the procedure and process.
Right.
I mean to say you might have the best system in the world, but if it's not run well, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
You might
It's
have
not
the worst.
run well in a good project management
Yes,
style.
yes.
And you might have the worst system in the world, but if you run it well, it will
It will
have good
produce credible
good
results.
I mean, say, so you have
Because
to
that's
look
what we're
at,
after, right? The credible.
exactly.
Okay.
We say you have to look at it from a holistic point of view.
Okay.
How do you improve elections? But at this time, I think there's a little complication because the system and the machines are actually owned by COMELEC already. They exercise the opportunity.
Oh, in other words, hindi na pwedeng ituro sa, kasi kasalanan Smartmatic,
And
di ba?
I mean,
Diba
say,
yun?
you have the machines, diba? Who are you going to sell it to? You're going to sell it to another country. Who country is going to buy a twice-used election system?
Twice ba?
Twice-used election system
2016, 2019. Oh.
that had problems the last May, diba? So, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
You can use it as scanners. You can probably work...
Scanners.
I mean, say, it's an optical mark reader, so...
Yeah.
Reprogram it.
Yes, so you can use it, for example, with the Office of the Local Civil Register. You can use it with libraries.
Okay,
You can basically
okay.
use it
Yeah.
digitize the country. I can do that. Let me say.
Okay.
I don't think
so
they.
may gamit pa rin itong mga BCM.
May gamit pa rin yan. But I mean say,
Hindi naman sa akin. Pero hindi na dapat gamitin.
I'm saying if you're going to use it, make sure the problems won't happen again. Second, if you're going to lease or if you're going to change a system, you have to do that you do have to do everything.
We have to do it this year. di
Yeah,
ba?
by
This year.
August.
We're in the middle of this year.
Yeah.
This is
Like-
already June. Oh.
Yeah, by August you already have to have, by July or August you already have to have a technology fair. You have to already conduct several consultation meetings. Before the year ends, you already know what you're going to do. You can't wait till next year. Next year's too
Yeah.
late.
It's
Yeah.
too late already.
And if you,
Even the technology selection itself is going to be difficult because among other things, if I understand that what the law says, it has to be a proven technology.
yep.
Yeah, yung proven technology na yan, di ba, na parang
It's just
it has been used in another country.
Yes.
So therefore, you need a foreign firm. That's why you had Smartmatic.
Yes,
di ba?
Yes, but
So
there are
parang,
several
I mean,
vendors naman eh.
Yeah,
there
but
are several providers.
don't we have that talent here? Ang dami natin
But the
yung
law-
But
ITS.
we have the talent, but have
But-
we used it? Has it been used in an election? That's the only thing that the
Isn't
law
that
says.
also very limiting? I mean,
No, I mean,
yeah, it's in the law, no? So can we just amend the law, di ba?
You can
I mean,
amend
pinag-usapan natin yan, May 13,
Yes.
May 14.
Sure,
Pwede
but-
namang dito, parang in-house, di
I know,
ba?
but you can't experiment with democracy.
That's right.
You
Okay.
can't say, oh, let's try the system if it will work. If it fails, what happens? What
Yeah.
happens with the democratic process? What happens with elections?
That's
diba? It's
right.
not like
Okay.
an election in the
Okay, so
school.
you're saying let's not amend the law, but we need to find. We
can
just need to find the
We can
foreign.
amend the law if we want to.
Yeah, but there are
That's
several
the
other providers in the world that can
Na pwede naman.
Yeah,
Okay,
they can.
wait. We need to take a short break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to Politics as Usual. Pierre Tito Galia and Goyla Razabal here. What are the available, what do you call that, election systems that we can use ba?
There are basically two election systems in the world today. The OMR, which is optical mark reader, which is a paper-based election system, which is
The
what we
DRE.
use, and the DRE, which is direct recording voting system.
Ito yung
It's a
like,
touchscreen.
Sa
Touchscreen.
US, for example, they
And-
just...
Yes, and that was the one that had a lot of issues.
Right.
Because there was no before they had the VVPAT, wala talagang audit doon.
Yeah.
It's harder to audit. So that's why the OMR is, for me,
Oh, okay
it's
naman
still
siya,
it's
di ba?
much better.
Oo.
Yes.
But you just make sure that there are enough safeguards in the system.
And of course, the OMR, again, what we have, ito yung manual voting.
Yes, then you feed.
We shade. We do not
Yes,
write the
yeah.
name anymore. We shade,
We shade.
feed our ballot, but then everything else is digital na.
Yes.
from then on.
Sa states naman baliktad, di ba? Sa kanila, it's automated, then manual na after. But I guess their system, their election system is more mature na. Even if you rely on
And their
exit
democracy is more mature.
Yeah, but democracy is more. That's
Yeah.
a right word. Their democracy is more mature. Na even if they release results based on exit polls,
Yes.
the candidates normally concede
Yes.
right away.
Oh.
Atin, official results.
Official
Kino-
results, but
kine-question
still,
pa eh.
They file electoral protests, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I like filing electoral protest. In some cases, because that's another way to verify the accuracy
The
of the count.
accuracy and
Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, okay. So right now, what should we be looking? Oh, sorry, not we. What should the COMELEC be looking at? Di ba kanina nabanggit mo na during the break, no? India, Netherlands, other.
There are
possibilities.
several. There's even one by Spain and everything.
Yeah.
What the law says is whatever system that is to be proposed to the COMELEC must have been used in an election.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we're going to have a local company who wants to present their technology must at least have been used in a local election in another country.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
meron bang ganon?
Meron naman.
I mean, there are local
There-
companies
There's
that would-
the capability. There's the
Capability,
capability
oh.
for people to build and demonstrate. And
Okay.
because the law is very clear on one thing. It has to be a proven technology.
I talked with some technology providers here, in app developers, way back in 2013. And the first thing they asked, when they told me that they want to develop a system, first thing I said, find a partner, test it in another country so it can be used in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't heard from any of them.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
And still no...
So wala eh.
Sayang.
Because it's difficult really.
Okay. So, yeah. But I mean, agreed on naman, no, na dapat talaga palitan na to. Right?
No, but can we say, palitan na, but the ownership is of the system and the software and the hardware is already with
COMELEC,
COMELEC.
yeah.
So, you have to find what to do with that system, software, hardware, etc. If you're going to change to another one, or maybe the new provider can use the machines now. Just
Okay,
make sure that
maybe they
it.
can figure
They
something
can
out.
recycle the parts.
Yes.
At the ve- at
Kaya
the
ba
very
ng
least.
COMELEC? Ooh, that's
So,
dead air.
well, no, I would say there's no choice really. There's no choice because elections is in 2022. There is no choice. You can't say I want to postpone elections. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to do a reverse timeline to be sure that you can do it on time for
Yeah,
2022.
okay. But ever since 2010, when we first had automated elections, hanggang ngayon, the people in the field are all the same,
Good people in the field,
right?
good people in central
yeah,
office
oo.
are
Ang nagbago lang naman talaga yung commissioners, hindi ba?
That
Oh,
appears to be the case, yes.
kasi the term of the commissioner is 7 years. Some are less. I serve only as a commissioner for 1 year, 6 months, but I was a field official before for several years.
Okay, and that means, next question is, pwede ka naman mag-COMELEC commissioner ulit,
Not commissioner, but
chairman.
that's up to the.
Yeah.
That's
No, because a lot of people say, no, why would you go back to COMELEC?
I don't know.
Dead air pa rin. Anyway, okay. So from here, where do we go? What must be done next?
But let me mention this.
Sige.
Kasi there were some people kasi before when the term of President Duterte started, asked me what can be done during the term of the president for electoral reform, and I said you can, within 6 years you can actually vastly improve the election system in the Philippines by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did a litany of what can be done within 6 years, no?
Yeah.
And I told them that can be part of the legacy of President Duterte. That when he leaves office in 2022, he can leave a better election system than what he arrived in, diba? So I gave them the list. I don't know what happened.
Okay. And when you say you don't know what happened, nothing happened to any of those on the list, all the points?
Nothing.
Wala pa? Oh, okay.
So
Can you
far.
give us an example?
Well, the voter database. How do you clean up the voter database? And how do you make sure that you have a more... Kasi,
Robust.
the question now is
Robust
how...
and accurate.
How do you verify the voter database, di ba? And kasi people say there's flying voters here, there's flying voters there, but
Yeah.
there's legitimate voters. How do you clean it up? How do you clean it up in such a way that it's cleaned up at the start, then continually vet it?
Yeah.
You can
okay.
do that.
Okay, we have 2 minutes to go now before the end of the show, and I'd like you to address this issue because some people would like to argue that with these problems that cropped up since 2010 sa automated election system natin, some people want to argue that maybe this is the best time to return to manual. Should we return to manual
No.
elections? Or, teka muna, bilis naman ang sagot. Or, teka, let me ask the dramatic question. Or is this a case of over our dead bodies?
For me, no. Like for example, you have a 10-year-old car, right? If you have a 10-year-old car that's been sitting in the garage for 3 years, and when you start it, it doesn't start because you need
didn't
to
perform maintenance.
Yeah, you didn't perform. You need to
you
change the
hardly
tires.
used it, you would use
Yeah.
it once a year.
Yes.
What do you expect, ma'am?
Then the tires are deformed, the battery is drained. You don't change the whole tire, the car. You change the tires, you change the battery, you
Yes.
change what needs to be changed, but you keep the whole car.
Yes.
Just like the system itself. You change what needs to be changed, you improve parts of the system that had a problem in 2019 to be
And we
sure you have a
discussed that
better.
just a while ago.
Yeah, you have
Exactly
to have
what-
a better system that will have a better system in 2022.
Yeah. And
Taking
so,
off-
in other words, still automated.
Yes, taking off
automated
from Goyo's conversation about cars, no, we left walking and we got into a car this time. So maybe the car needs improvement.
Yeah.
But
Oo.
is the choice having to use the car or going back to walking? I think we might.
No,
as
we
well-
should stay in the car.
We should stay in the car,
Yeah.
right? And
Fix the aircon.
yes, and all the other things, no. We going back to the problems of manual election, particularly the violence,
Yeah.
the wide
Imagine having to
fraud.
bodily guard the ballot boxes
Yes.
and get killed in the process because
Yes.
someone may mga agaw ng ballot box. Imagine the sa presinto pa lang, di ba?
Which is what we're going to go
Dadagdagan
back
ng taras, 5 tara, plus 2 tara, dapat 7,
Yeah.
nagiging 52.
Exactly.
That was in a precinct in Marikina, 1995 elections. I have the, 1992.
And that's what we're going to go back to.
Certificate
To go
of
manual.
canvass, statement of votes, nadadagdagan, plus 10,000 votes, 20,000 votes. Talagang yan ang gustong balikan ng mga tao?
It also, even if, for example, the proposal is not to go back to pure manual, but to go back to a hybrid methodology, which is manual counting and electronic transmission. But it was
But even that would be,
Yes.
that would be,
would
you
still
would
be
have a
the-
host of problems. Manual counting, magbibilang sa presinto, the way we used to do in manual before.
and yung agawan ng
Well,
ballot boxes
yeah,
and
that
things like
was,
that.
yeah.
If you're
oo.
going to go hybrid, I would rather just go back to manual. Because hybrid
that's
has,
not- yeah.
but I'm
Hybrid
saying
adds another level of
it's-
complexity.
Yeah, oo.
it's worse. So
Oo.
it's
But like Pierre was saying, di ba? Nasa kotse ka na, bababa ka
exactly
pa.
you,
di ba?
you just improve what needs to be improved. Make sure what the problems in these elections won't happen again.
Sure.
All right. Okay. We're going to say thank you now to our guests, former COMELEC Commissioner. Sana wala na yung former eh. Goyo Larzabal and PRT Tugalia, co-founder, democracy.net.ph. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
And thank you for watching. I'm Beyond Veres. This is Politics as Usual.